I'm gonna tell you right now, I did not want to make this video. I did not. Originally, I wanted to have a discussion like this. This tweet that I posted a few days ago, it blew up and there was a lot of division just in me just putting verses there. I didn't say anything else. I was just putting where Trunks is at in these two separate series, I guess, and people went apeshit over it. I don't want to make the seeds of division and kind of push people away from liking Deliverance. If you also like Dragon Ball Super, I don't want to go that route. What I do want to do is explain what Dragon Ball Deliverance did right with Goten and Trunks and what that could mean if it's applied in Dragon Ball Super, which would lead to a far more interesting version of Goten and Trunks respectfully. Because remember, this is not just going to be Goten and Trunks in the manga, we're also going to get the anime version at some point. Now you guys have seen my review, and if you haven't, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below of Dragon Ball Super's chapter 88. And I do want to start off by saying that Goten and Trunks, I think, and I hope that this initial chapter setup is going to expand on them even more. You guys don't understand how excited I was to see them come back and have a focus, literal focus, that's not Goku, that's not Vegeta, on these two characters. This is basically the next generation here, and I've been waiting for this for so long, and I really don't think that chapter 88 did the worst job possible. I think that they did a very solid job, specifically with Goten. I do think they've been doing a really good job, just a few hiccups here and there. Of course, the Ghost thing, Goten being brave in every situation and Trunks being scared of Ghost, that's something that to me, I don't think that Trunks as a young kid would naturally grow up to be afraid of ghosts and monsters when he faced monsters that were basically annihilating everybody and killing off his family members, and he faced them stone cold. And even if we take this image right here where he says ghosts aren't real, I mean, like, my boy, you were Gotenks, you were creating ghosts. Come on, wake up. Goten had a point. Goku and Vegeta were technically ghosts coming back, at least in some sense. So, I mean, this even was kind of idiotic. I think that they just kind of put that in for fluff. But besides that, the rest of Goten and Trunks in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, its prequel arc is not too bad. But guys, Dragon Ball Deliverance completely took the two characters that we grew up with in Dragon Ball Z and gave them a believable adult or teenage mode, because a lot of people are saying that, you know, the Trunks and Goten in Superhero are teenagers and the one in Deliverance are not. No, they're all teenagers, different ages of teenagers, but they're teenagers, and they did this phenomenal. Now, if you don't remember Trunks and Goten in DBZ, Trunks was basically a leader. He wasn't afraid of anything. He would make things up on the spot, like trying to impress Goten all the time. He was the one that was taking charge, while Goten was more like Goku, a little bit blind to things, a little bit naive, and just always willing to trust Trunks and hated liars. He was more like Goku, and that was their setup. Does Dragon Ball Deliverance deliver on this? Grow up, I think that they get really close. The Goten and Trunks that we see in Dragon Ball Deliverance that turn into Gotenks, who ultimately loses, then goes back to being Goten and Trunks to fight this monster, they are believable matches to what we saw in Dragon Ball Z. They both worked simultaneously as a team. They were team-minded. There was a new ability where they could kind of talk to each other telepathically because they had been fused so many times. Trunks was the leader in this. He was the one taking charge in almost every aspect, and Goten was almost support. Sometimes Goten took the initiative, but most of the time it was Trunks. He was the one that was leading. Even during their sideline meeting, Goten and Trunks are the same ones from DBZ. Trunks makes the plan. He gives the orders and Goten follows them without question. He knows and trusts Trunks because they've been fused so many times. They've known each other since they were kids, so he knew that Trunks' plan was going to work. The double lariat move that they created, that they used on this monster, was what Trunks had in mind because he already knew what this creature's weak spot was, and he just had to inform Goten of it. This is great planning. This is something that really pushes these two characters above the rest. They are 100% teammates, but they have different personalities. There were a lot of people saying that Dragon Ball Super Superheroes prequel, Goten and Trunks, it was a slice of life, goofy comedy. But in Dragon Ball Deliverance, there are several moments in here where it's focused on comedy. We see physical comedy, we see goofiness, we see a lot of things that I would think would come with Goten and Trunks, because that's what happened in DBZ, and it's believable that those two characters evolved into these two characters. They're carbon copies, if not grown a little bit more with a closer bond together. Now, we did see the beginnings of this in the manga arc where Trunks's whole costume gets completely erased and everybody sees who he is and who his identity is, and at that point Goten turns off the light because they know that they can take these guys out. Goten, without even talking to Trunks, he jumps in and takes the students away. This is what I'm talking about. There are seeds here. They don't need to regress some of the characters for comedic effect or whatever the case is that aren't believable, because they've done that so many different times in Dragon Ball Super. They don't need to do that. They need to focus on team building, and having them be superheroes, team building, great. Having them be superheroes that are basically identical, essentially, that's also really good. Having Goten jump into action when Trunks needs him most, amazing. But then we get to the point where Trunks didn't really want to go to this mountain to find these ghosts because he's scared of ghosts. So this hiccup, this quirk that you didn't have to give Trunks, is actually at odds with him being a leader and him wanting to be the one, because he's the one that said it. He wants to fight real villains. He's the one that says it. He doesn't want to just play video games. Like, that's the problem with these little rehashes, little quirks that don't make any sense. They are at odds with the nature. I'm hoping that at this point in time, after this first chapter, Trunks gets over this fear and will go on to be a great hero, and we get more of Dragon Ball Deliverance's Trunks and Goten in Dragon Ball Super's manga. But only time will tell if we actually get what was promised, because I've been waiting decades here to see Goten and Trunks have a focus as adults or as teenagers in Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball proper, and now we're finally getting it. So don't disappoint me, Toei. Again, these are my thoughts, my own. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this video. This is going to be BlackScape signing off. Take care, guys.
Subscribe for more content.